Okay, so I think we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Stephanie Buchanan, and I am one of the investor relations managers here at the United Way of Racine County. We're so glad to have you here for our August Impact Tour. Our Impact Tours highlight the work of United Way of Racine County and our impact partners. You've probably received a notification that this session is being recorded. We will have that available in the next day or two for you to share with those that weren't able to join us live today. Just some housekeeping tips. Please use the chat function if you have any questions, and we'll respond to those after we're done chatting. United Way of Racine County fights for the health, education, and financial stability of everyone in our community. So let's get started. Today we have Jory Chambers, who's the Assistant Director at the Women's Resource Center. Welcome, Jory. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us about your organization?
I'm Jory Chambers. I am the Assistant Director of the Women's Resource Center. We provide domestic violence services for anyone that is in a domestic violence situation, leaving, left, just in domestic violence in general.
Okay. And what is your mission at the Women's Resource Center?
The mission of Women's Resource Center is to provide crisis intervention, advocacy, education, prevention services for a diverse population of domestic violence survivors.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the benefits you see in being a United Way partner?
Yeah, we have a lot of benefits. One of them would be marketing. You guys provide great marketing. We also have a great support system with United Way. We can come to you with any questions. You also fund both of our shelter program as well as our legal advocacy program.
So we'll focus more on the shelter program for this Lunch and Learn here. How long has United Way been funded this program?
So I'm not sure on the exact amount of years, but I know it's decades. It's been a very long partnership, but it's been my entire time, which is only 5 years, plus decades of support from you guys. Okay.
What other funding sources do you guys have?
We have DCF, sorry, I'm trying to think. DCF, EHH, ESG, various supporters in the community, Racing Community Foundation. Those are the big supporters. Okay. And then we have like different little grants here and there.
Okay. Can you give us a brief history of the shelter program in general?
Sure. Women's Resource Center was founded in downtown Racine in 1977. We moved to the College Avenue location in 1996. Our main goal is to provide a safe place for anyone fleeing domestic violence. There's an advocate on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To be here for emotional support for everyone in the house or to answer our crisis line. Yeah, that's our main shelter program. We try to remain as anonymous as possible, but with social media or like just internet in general now, it's kind of more difficult. So we do have a security system, security cameras. We definitely keep track of what's around our building and what's going on, but we are a secure, safe building for anyone fleeing domestic violence.
Okay. Can you tell us a little about the day-to-day experiences of a participant in the shelter program?
Yeah, of course. Everybody is completely different. So we go based on what goals the individual has. An advocate works with them when they first come in. They complete an intake. And then we set goals with them. So it just depends. Like some people's goals are just to get out of bed in the morning after a traumatic event. That's a huge achievement for some people. Other people immediately want to start on their healing journey in the aspect of talking to our DV educator, getting restraining order, things like that. So we go by their goals. We sit with them once a week, work on the goals that they set forth. Their stay on average is about 60 days, but our initial stay is a 45-day stay. So they usually work with their advocate, I would say every day, but they usually have 2 advocates assigned to them, so it'd be one or the other. But all the advocates work with everybody. It's just that in particular person works on more in-depth things.
Okay. So how many staff members work with you?
Ooh, I think we currently just hired, so I believe we're up to 13.
13,
Or-
okay.
Yeah.
And so what impact does this have on the community, your program?
We, ooh, that's a hard one. Hold on.
Or some changes that, you know, in the community from your program?
So the changes in our community, I feel like we make it a safer place. We educate the community on domestic violence and the red flags. We also teach no contact live. So if you're in a domestic violence situation, you automatically, or not automatically, if you're in a domestic violence situation that the police are involved, the no contact lift would be put in place. We teach, when that happens, we get involved and teach about domestic violence services offered. That automatically offers a safety plan for anyone that has been through it or that could still be going through it. So definitely making it safer for victims of domestic violence.
Yeah. So say I called and just said, hey, I need some help. Like, what would be the first thing that I would do? Would I come to you? Would I just talk to somebody on the phone?
So the first thing would be you would talk to the advocate, and then we would find out what services you're exactly looking for. Everyone's looking for something different. So if you want a restraining order, we can assist with that. But the first initial thing would be a conversation with the advocate on the phone.
Okay. And where do most of your referrals come from, or how do people hear about you the most?
I would say word of mouth. Over time, I mean, for being in the community for as long as we have, people find out because of, just knowing other people that been here, use their services. We also do community events and things like that to let our name be out there, provide flyers to victim witness, to the hospitals, things like that, to try to get our name out there more. That also to the police department, that's a big one.
Yeah, I bet. So there's somebody there to answer the phone 24 hours a day,
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
And is there certain times of the year that you're busier, or?
Up until COVID hit, I found that it was always around 4th of July.
Okay.
After COVID, it's right now. It's like August, and when school begins to start, it seems to get busier.
Okay. And so say someone comes in and needs to leave, the house that they're in, where would they go? Like what?
They would come to our shelter, and then they have a 45-day stay here, and then we would we work with the COC or the HMIS list. They come in and get them on the housing list, and then we find them, housing from there on where they need to go. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
some of our people go to Bethany Apartments when they have space. Some get their own apartment. Some get pulled on the housing list. Just depends on the situation.
Okay. And how many people, what's the capacity of your shelter?
So that's a varying question. So we have 7 bedrooms. We try not to double rooms. With that being said, that's always not possible when there's people who are in really serious situations that we need to help them get out of. But we could have, 2 singles in a room, or we could have a family of 5 in the room. It just depends. Usually we have about 7 or 8 adults, and then the children is what makes it a varying situation.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any misconceptions about the Women's Resource Center that you'd like the community to know about?
Yes. The biggest misconception is that we only serve women. Our name is deceiving. We serve anybody fleeing domestic violence, men, women, children, any gender, any race, any religion, anybody fleeing domestic violence.
Okay. So is there a separate area? So say that you would have a man that was going, into the shelter?
So no, not really. It's that's always been kind of a challenge, just because like we try to keep everyone separate. So we usually have males use the third floor bathroom, and then all the female guests use the second floor bathroom. But the rooms are all on the same floor. But they would definitely.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. They would
go ahead.
definitely not be placed with anybody else. Like a male would be placed in their own room.
Got it. Okay. Do you have Spanish speaking advocates?
Yes, we do. We have, I think we're up to 3 now.
3? Okay.
So.
Okay, cool. What partnerships and resources in the community help your organization achieve its goals?
We have so many. Equus comes in once a week on Thursdays and helps with like job readiness, signing up for public benefits, things like that. We work with Bethany Apartments, who can pull some of our people when they can. Believe Survivors, if ever there's someone that needed that service. Fee refers people to us. The Youth Volunteers, Foodwise comes in once a week, and then just community members. We do have a great support with the community itself, churches, things like that, where they come in and do their own volunteering and things like that.
I would imagine it's a whole approach to helping someone. If you're in a situation, there could be obviously financial hardships, maybe a lack of education, so do you work with people in terms of that, in terms of their finances and getting them, more education or job that they would like, or?
So we do refer to the Financial Empowerment Center to work with budgeting and things like that. A lot of our people they come to us either on Social Security or very limited income. We help them budget that out, and then how they would function from outside of shelter when they had to pay rent and things like that. Job readiness, we do help them apply for jobs and things like that, but we usually Equus does like the resumes and that type of work with them.
Okay. And how can community members get involved with your organization?
They can volunteer, they can come in and provide groups and things like that. We have all different types of things, little projects that either need to be done, or little we've had people come in and make dinner with them, teach people how to cook when they don't know how to cook, that type of thing. So that's really fun when they get to do that. They can, drop off donations if we ever need, just basic household things, that type of thing.
Is that ongoing that you need that, or do you put out like, hey, we need, XYZ, or can people just drop stuff off, whenever?
So as far as like clothing and stuff like that, that's usually just depending on what we, need at that time. When it comes to like toilet paper, cleaning supplies, things like that is ongoing. We always need them things. So those things can just be dropped off.
Okay. There are some questions. So let's see. What impact has COVID had on Women's Resource Center services?
So COVID has, it's been just a challenge from day one. At first, we had to provide our services virtually and things like that to try to lessen the amount of people in the building to spread COVID. We did at first lessen the amount of people we were taking in. So we have, like I said, 7 functioning rooms. We absolutely would not combine at all. So at first that did cut back the amount of people we could take in. We've had to put people in hotels because there was COVID in the shelters, so we needed them all separate. The way that the shelter is set up, it's absolutely not possible to quarantine people here. So we've had to use hotels and things like that. So it's just been, a challenge, just depending on what part of COVID we're in or if we have it in the shelter. It's just definitely challenging.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, let's see. How often do you get children or men that need help?
Children are I would say we always have children in the shelter with their parents. Men, I would say we get a lot more outreach men than in-house, but it's about 3 or 4 that come in per year. As far as outreach, I would say it's about 15 or 20.
Okay. And what is how many people do you average help per year?
So in our shelter, we've sheltered between 150 and 200 last year. And then with outreach services, I would say it's about between 250 and 300, but we do a lot of help with the same person, if that makes sense. So we would do a legal or a no contact lift, then we would do a legal referral, and then we would, bring them into shelter, things like that. So we would help the same person in multiple steps. So we definitely do a lot of repeat helping, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, yeah, completely. Okay. Do you offer, you offered legal help? How does the process of offering legal help work?
It just depends on what type of legal help. So the no contact lift class does count as like a legal service, and same with safety planning. So if, just say they go through with a restraining order and they don't feel that that's the right move, we teach a safety planning class that essentially we put together a safety plan, and then we would review it to lift the note, so they have that in place to feel safer if they do return. We also work with Legal Action of Wisconsin, so we would refer them over there. It's a packet we do with them, and then we would refer them out to them, and then Legal Action would be able to assist in any way that they can. And then thanks to United Way, we can now do court accompaniment again. So we can go to the courthouse, and we really can't speak or do anything like that, but we can be there for emotional support in that process.
Yeah, I'm sure that's, right, much needed, I'm sure. And do you, for the children that are in the shelter, do you provide programming for them as well?
Yes. So right now we're actually in between, we're looking to hire our family healing, but our family healing person does groups with them, activities individually, things like that with the kids, just to keep them motivated. They also work with the family as a whole. So they would be like trying to make new family traditions or family game nights, things to like positively bond the family back together.
Yeah. And so do the children all get to, play together while they're there?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And do they get to stay in their same schools, or do they?
Yep.
Okay.
So we work with, that's another big one that I forgot. We work with families in transition. So families in transition tries to keep them in their school and then buses them from the shelter to whatever school they go to, as long as they're in Racine Unified. So that helps a great deal. They also do, I believe, Milwaukee and Kenosha County, we've had people bused from or to and from, which is really helpful because everything else is different in that child's life. So keeping their school the same is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Could you maybe share a success story from a client?
Of course. So we had a woman come in with her 3 children. 2 of them were teenagers. And we had been working with her just, I want to say it started on Facebook. I'm not sure though. But then she ended up coming into shelter. Her abuser ended up getting her to come back after being in shelter for a short amount of time. So we just told her, you can come back. Like, don't think that, we're not going to let you come back. She ended up, it was a really bad abuse situation. He controlled like every aspect of her life, to the point where like, he'd monitor when she got to work, when she left work, on her lunch breaks, things like that. She ended up contacting us back about a couple months later. We ended up safety planning with her until we got her back into shelter. She was able to leave with the kids and get out of the situation. And now she is out, safe, has the kids in her custody, is doing amazing. So yeah, that was really, it was a difficult one just because, when they go back, it's so hard, but to get them back out is awesome.
Yeah. I thought I read somewhere that it's like an average of maybe 7 times for someone to actually be able to fully leave.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you happen to see the same people, or you see them, get a restraining order, and then they're like, no, I don't want that restraining order anymore. And as long as you're there and just be like, I understand, we'll be here next time, or if you want to do it again, just to tell them, the dangers of lifting of the restraining order, and what, and just to be there is huge.
Yeah, I bet. Non-judgmental support probably has a huge impact on, feeling that maybe they'll be ready to leave, for good one day, knowing there are people that are there for them. We have one more question. Somebody might have missed this, but is there a process in place for when a guest is ready to leave? And if so, what is it?
So when they're ready to leave, it depends on where they're going. So if they're going into their own place and they need help with like getting furniture, things like that, we can refer them over to Feather and Nest. If they are like, we've had people come into shelter because they needed to get that restraining order in place, but then they would go back to their original apartment because it's their apartment.
Yeah.
In that case, we just always do a safety plan, do the exit paperwork with them, and then make sure they have our text line and are able to contact us like via text if they need to again, so that we can help them again.
Yeah. So are there any people that have went through your program and then are now helping others?
Yes. One of our people is actually not sure where she's working right now, but she went through us, went through Bethany Apartments, and now I believe she's a social worker.
Wow.
So we do see, usually it's a little bit longer than I've been here, that it takes the whole cycle to come back to you're ready to help. So that's just, I've only been here almost 5 years, so it's sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But we do see people back in helping of some capacity, whether it's volunteering or wanting to work here. We do see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there anything else you want us to know that we didn't get to cover or would like, to mention specifically?
No, we just appreciate you doing this with us. Honestly, it's really cool to be part of, the community, and be able to do things like this is really nice.
So if people want to volunteer, are there some situations where it's ongoing, or is it mostly just like, come in once or twice?
It's totally up to them. So if they want to come in, we currently have a church group that comes in and does Bible study every Tuesday night. That's their choice. So they come in and they work with the ladies, whoever wants to join on that, or we do have people that just come in and do like a project around here. That's a one-time thing. It just completely depends on what they want to do.
Okay. And is there training involved, or are you just kind of not like directly working with,
It depends on what they're doing. So if we were going to have someone answer our crisis line, they would be fully trained. If we have people working with the guests, we background check them. And then usually the advocate would be in there with them, not really with the Bible study. That's something that they do on their own, but like with any type of group or things like that, we would sit in there and just, see if we can help in any way.
Yeah. And so where can people find you?
So you can go on our Facebook. That's Women's Resource Center, Racine, Center and Racine are one word, Wisconsin. That's our new Facebook. We have another one out there. Ignore that one. I can't figure out how to shut it down, unfortunately. And then they can go on our website, which is www.wrcracinewisconsin.com. And our volunteer lists are on there. They can always email me or Denise, who is our services director, and we can help them any way we can.
Okay. And then, so you have an event coming up as is on your, on the screen, the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. Do you want to tell us a little about that?
Yeah, September 29th, we're doing a Walk a Mile in Her Shoes event. It's an event to bring awareness to domestic violence and gender-based violence. So we need male walkers to come walk in heels. And yeah, we'll be down at the Kenosha Harbor Market, hoping to get a big crowd. Racine Harbor Market, not Kenosha. I don't know why I said Kenosha, because I'm going there this weekend.
Monument Square, is that where it is in Racine?
It's Monument Square, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So people to walk, do you need volunteers as well for any?
Yep. So we need walkers, and then we could use people to help set up and just to help. We're gonna have like a prize wheel. See, I see in your question. Yes, it's on Facebook. So you can go on and share it, or show your interest in it, whatever you'd like.
Okay. And then also on here is the supply donation needs. So I'm assuming those are kind of an ongoing, you always pretty much probably need those.
Yes. Yes, we always need that. And then toilet paper. I forgot toilet paper, but we always need any stuff like that.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks so much for your time, Jordy, and all the information that you're sharing with us. And thank you for all the work that you do in the community.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this.
Of course. The Racine County United Way is proud to support and partner with you. We were able to do that through the generosity of our donors. When someone makes an investment in the United Way of Racine County, you're really making an investment in organizations like the Women's Resource Center. So thank you all for your support of this impact tour. And our next one coming up will be Racine Vocational Ministry in September, and we'd like you to join us for that as well. Again, thank you for taking the time to join us today, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much.